In this video, we take a look at the Moza R16 Wheelbase. As well as that, I try out the quick disconnect as I nearly chinned myself. Hello everyone, and welcome to another wheel review then. And what are we reviewing? Well, if you haven't guessed by the thumbnail and the title, we're looking at the Moza R16, as you can see with a tick right there on the side of the box. Now, this box has been traveling a fair few miles, I will be honest with you. So it does look a bit battered, but it's still sturdy, which is kind of critical. Now, I'll talk about the box initially because on some wheels, the box is horrendous to pick up, handles absolutely fine, and this has the wheelbase in. And that's what we're looking at here, is the wheelbase, and also the wheel on the front of it as well, because Moza have also sent me the Moza GS V2P GT Wheel. My first ever GT wheel, in fact, so it is going to be an interesting review. We are going to look at these separately, so the wheelbase and then the Moza GS V2P GT wheel. I'll call it the Moza GT wheel for now, just for ease. We're going to look at them separately, and I will explain all the details. Let's have a look inside the box, and let's see what you actually get, though. So inside the box, then, you can see it's quite small in terms of compartments, but there's some hefty hitters in here. First up on the left-hand side, we have this power brick right there. Big old power brick, but of course, this is a more powerful wheelbase than my previous one, and you can see the wheelbase there is in that bag there. It's always nice that it comes protected like that, and you've got that bag as well. Obviously nice for transportation. And then we've got the plug socket and a little bit of some bobs down here as well in terms of being able to set up the wheel. And that's one of the big bonuses with this wheel, and one of the good points that I will talk about after is setting up this wheel. Let's dig down into this a little bit further then. Right then, here we have the accessories all out in front of you. We go through this in a bit more detail. And so on the left, obviously, is the instruction manual. Do go through that to understand how the wheel attaches and how the wheel works. Sometimes I just jump into it. There we go. So there are additional bits there to attach the wheel. So you got the Allen key then, and of course then the screws that go in, or bolts, should I say. I know people get on me on that then. These, I wasn't too sure what they're for. I'm assuming to help actually mount the wheel and pedals if you do need that. I didn't need that at all. They're still in the box right now. And then we've obviously got the plug there that goes into the wall that powers this massive brick, which powers the wheel itself then. So looking at the specs here for you, I know some of you are interested in this, and it's a full review, so you can get your eye in on there. Apologies for the lighting, of course. I can try my best with lighting. I can't nail it perfectly, but you can see all the information there in terms of that adapter. So if we come back out of here then, we'll just go through the final pieces here. So obviously that goes into the back of the wheel in terms of the connection. It is different to the R5. If you do have the R5, you will need to get each brick out. And then, of course, we've got the USB cable there that goes into the back of the wheel and also into your hardware. The wheelbase then, the main reason why you're watching this video, you can see it right in front of you. So you can see the bag there that it came in. I got it out the bag. It's quite a heavy wheel, to be honest with you. 8.9 kilograms is what it's listed on the website. But hey, for that 8.9 kilograms, you get a very futuristic and a very, very solid feeling, quality feeling product in terms of this R16 wheelbase. It does feel magnificent, if I can get my words out here. It also looks amazing, looks very futuristic, which I really, really do like as we go around the wheelbase and head towards the back. See there, it's got that grilled section at the back. Obviously, it needs to disperse that heat. Big open section there to get rid of that heat. I've had no overheating issues at all with this wheel, so just keep that in mind as we look now at the connections on the rear of this, and lots of connections there. It is in an indented manner, which actually does help. I've talked about this before. My setup, for example, if it doesn't have that indent, the wheel has to come away from the desk slightly or a bit more, and therefore I'm further away from the TV. So just keep that in mind. The indent does help. Pedal, e-stop, USB, DC input, they're the main ones at the top, of course, with the few extras at the bottom, and that power button down on that bottom right-hand side, which I suspected I would need to use more than I actually did, and I'll explain that in the PlayStation part of this video. There are timestamps down below if you do want to jump to that. But what a magnificent looking thing this is. It does look the part. Easily the best looking wheelbase I've got in my collection now. I seem to be building a collection of these. It looks absolutely stunning. It's got the quick release feature there on the front by Moza, and that works very well as well. I'll talk about a bit more of that with the GT wheel that we'll look at. Let's jump further into this review then. where we're going to look at the MOZA GS V2P steering wheel, the GT wheel MOZA offer then. So they sent me this with the wheelbase to try it out together. And first of all, on the outside, it does look amazing. I haven't used a GT wheel before, so I will take that into consideration in terms of the review as well. But it comes in a nice box. You can see that right here, and it just contains the wheel, believe it or not, this box. So forged carbon fiber there, customized quick release. You can see it all there. Dual clutch. Yes, there are basically 4 paddles on the back, not 2, and it's all a part of that Moza racing ecosystem. But let's not hold back here. Let's jump straight into that box. Here we are then with it unboxed, essentially. You can't see the wheel yet, but what you can see is what comes on top then. So it's got a little bit of a manual there and stickers. I realized it was in a pack there as I go to take it off. But yeah, let's move that to one side because look at this. It's got its own little bag there. It's presented so beautifully, this wheel. It really is. What we're going to do now, though, is jump to my live reaction as I do get it out the box. And then you can hear my full opinion as it happens. So there we have it then. That is the wheel outside of its packaging. Now, I'm going to pick this up then. We're just going to have a little bit more of a detail. It feels very, very... well, heavy, to be honest with you. It feels proper premium product, this. It really does. We've got some buttons here that I think we're going to have to turn the lights off for. Give me one moment. Right, there we go. So, we can see the buttons a bit better. We've got fastest lap, box 1, S1. Got these here. All these. I mean, we've got rotation there, which is good. Could be good for Gran Turismo, that. I'll see if they work on that. Go towards the right hand side then. Again, mixture of all sorts of buttons here. And what we're going to do, we're going to look at the back of the wheel then. Look at the back of the wheel and we've got 2 sets. Much more sticky. Made it very much more fluid. Likewise on this side, fluid. Sticky. But oh my goodness, what a wheel this feels like. This is premium and something else. My word. This is insane. So they can rotate like so. Very nice feel on the buttons. Oh, joystick. Sorry, I'm doing this while filming. It's got a joystick there as well. Actually feels not bad as a joystick. It actually feels really good as a joystick. It feels like it could be very, very pronounced with it. So I'm not sure what that's actually for, to be honest with you. Dials. Ooh, nice clicky sound. Hang on, does that change the number? Oh, it does. This is superb. It feels amazing. So again, flick, brake balance. So much mappable here. It's going to be interesting, that is for sure. Really good feel. Really good feel. I suppose it's time to get it on the rig. So, as you can see, the wheel is mounted up now. The Moza, in fact, it's actually been mounted on and off the rig for over a month now with the testing that I've done. If you are new to this channel, we do a month of testing to see how the wheel copes. I don't feel like doing one-off tests work, to be honest with you. It's why I always test the wheels thoroughly, because you get a good understanding of its strengths, its weaknesses, and that's what we'll go through now. Before we get into price and such, because I've now looked at the price, I have got that listed down. We're going to talk about the good parts of this wheel first of all, okay? So initially, I mentioned it in the unboxing, the initial feel of this wheel. It feels such high quality. It feels very upmarket. It looks the part. It just looks amazing. I'll be honest with you. It looks absolutely fantastic. It really does. As I said, it is a bit heavy. So if you do struggle with lifting weight, you may need assistance putting it onto your rig. Otherwise, I had no issues really putting it on with it. In fact, we're going to go into good point number 2 here. This is one of the easiest bases I've ever attached to my GT Amiga rig. Okay. So why I say that is that I've had to keep switching on and off this wheelbase just due to the PlayStation compatibility, which we'll get to shortly. But essentially, it's been on and off, and I always have no problems putting this on. I can get it on within a couple of minutes, to be honest with you now. I've got it down to a T. I really have. It's just so easy. The easiest wheel I've ever had in terms of setup I'm just getting straight into playing on the PC. It really is. It's actually just insane how good it actually is. Okay. Do keep that in mind. It's hard mounted, so I'm using all 4 bolts underneath here actually. I'm not using the bolts that came with the wheel. It's good that they supply some, but I needed some longer bolts, so I did go to get them, and they're the ones that are currently in right now. But you know, it's in, it's secure. I can use all 4 bolts. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, in terms of the back, now I've had this issue on other wheels, but not so much on this. Again, I talked about it in the unboxing. The cables at the back, okay, I'm right up to my desk. In fact, the wheel, the top of the wheelbase, is touching the desk. That is brilliant because I'm as close as I can be to my monitor in front of you, which is next to you guys. Now, that is a problem on some wheels where the cables stick out the back and actually can force the rig to come further back. That is no good. This doesn't have that issue. Very good indeed for the wheelbase. It also means it's an easy reach. If there is a problem, I can reach around here very quickly. I can reach the power button very easily. All the cables are very accessible very quickly, so it's great. Easy accessibility on a rig for me is up there, because that way if I do need to switch the wheel on and off, I can do it very quickly. If the cables come loose, I can have a feel. Don't worry, I've not had any cables go loose, but everything is there. Now let's talk about actual usage then in terms of the wheelbase. It is so smooth. Oh, the force feedback is so smooth. You've been seeing gameplay footage in the background as I've been talking, as well as some of the shots that I am talking about. Oh, it's so smooth. It is literally the smoothest wheel I've ever had in terms of feeling. It's just so nice. I drive and it's just like, it works perfectly. You know, I've done an endurance race just before, just after, not before this video comes out, but after recording this, I'm doing a 24-hour race. So I expect this wheel to work absolutely fine during that as well. It feels so good. It feels so smooth when I'm driving it. It really does. Now, I have been mainly using Assetto Corsa Competizione. So that is the sim I have been using this with. And it's just great. It really is absolutely fantastic in terms of the smoothness that goes through this. And I don't use very high force feedback, as you know. And I think it's one of those cases where the stronger the motor, if you use it less, you're not like hitting extremes in terms of its limitations. So it just acts better, feels better. And you can feel everything in the road, even on a lower setting, which I actually use. Now, as you know with me, I do plug it in play style situations, so I don't really want to adjust too much, although you do have to adjust stuff on the wheelbase. Of course you do with this one. I did on the R5, but we'll get onto that shortly. What we are going to do now, before we go on to the bad stuff, we're just going to talk about the good stuff in terms of this, the GT wheel, the Moza GS wheel here. Essentially, a huge amount of buttons. I talked about that in the unboxing. Insane amount of... I've not even mapped all these actually to ACC. I literally can't map them all. There's not enough things to map. So yeah, I've literally been placed the buttons where I wanted to, and I use them continuously. And there's just so many you can map here. You know, you talk about brake balance. It's up here in the corner. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, you can, just on the camera there. You know, you can change this. There's 5 down. It's just, there's so much. You've got 2 analog sticks. It's great. And you know, the analog sticks are buttons themselves. You know, you left, right, up, down. And presses. How many buttons do you need? You do not need a button box with this wheel. It is so good with the amount of buttons. Again, something I have talked about. It's very high quality finish. This feels super premium. Like if somebody goes on this, you invite a friend round and you've got this wheel, they're going to go, wow, this feels like an actual race car. It feels amazing. Oh, it's easily the best feeling wheel I've got in terms of just the materials, just the look of it. I can't even explain how good it actually feels. It does feel. Now, of course, I did mention this in the unboxing. This is my first GT style wheel. Normally, I just have the round wheels, of course. So maybe that is taken into consideration, but I think it's so good. And maybe I need to ask other manufacturers to lend theirs and see how they fit. But it feels amazing. It looks amazing. It does the part. And yeah, it's great. Now, we do have the quick connect at the back, of course, of this wheel. So we have had the R5. I have reviewed that. I've reviewed the R3. This is obviously the R16. Now, in terms of attaching the wheels themselves, so let's forget about the wheelbases a second. The wheels. I found that the wheel that came with the R5 could be sticky sometimes, and it was in the video as well about that. I've not had sticky situations for this. It goes on very much more easily, comes off very much more easily. In fact, let me just try this now. Just do this live on camera. See, straight off the bat. The R5, you used to have to play around a little bit with it, and then, yeah, it'd eventually go back on. And can we get it back on first go? This is what I struggle with sometimes. Come on, Tidge. No, I can't do it now. It's because I'm live as I do this. There we go. We're back on there. So that was nice. You just have to line up a little bit. So being a pleb and I'm doing this backwards this way, I can't see the lineup on the final bit. But yeah, very easy to disconnect the wheel and put on. You've just seen that right there. So what can you say? If it's that easy, it's great. You could interchange wheels very quickly. Now let's talk about the buttons. So we'll go to some B-roll of the buttons, of course. You have the rev counter, first of all. That is customizable, so you can change the colors. I've already done that myself. You can do that in the MOZA software. So I've changed the colors to what I prefer, which is the usual ones, of course, with the red being the peak end of the RPM. But all the colors, or all the buttons that have LEDs on them, so the 3 on the right, then 2 on the middle, and then bottom right, and then same on the left-hand side, they are customizable in terms of their color. So you can make this wheel your own, and arguably, no wheel is going to be identical because everyone's got their own preferences, which is really nice. Really, really, really nice. I love the customizability of this wheel. I really, really, really do. It is spot on. It is spot on. Let's get into some negatives then in terms of the wheelbase and the wheel then. So with the wheelbase, I haven't found anything. I've got to be honest. There's nothing that I dislike. I've tried to think about what I dislike about the wheelbase, and there's nothing. Now, we are going to get onto the PlayStation compatibility, which you could argue is potentially a dislike, but most don't advertise it as being PlayStation compatible. So for me, that is not a dislike. And I don't know what else there is to look at. It's got accessibility. It's good. It's just good. There is nothing I dislike about this wheelbase. I would happily use this. I was just on PC, happily use this constantly. No issues, no problems. And I could use this just forever, basically. Of course, you can attach a little dash to this as well, which is always great. So there are additional accessories you can add. So yeah, there's nothing bad about it. There really isn't anything bad about it. Now, let's talk about the wheel, because I do have a couple of points for the wheel, first of all. So as I was using it, and I noticed this at Paul Ricard, and those who watched the stream, thank you. But obviously, that was an endurance race, so this did come up. And I expect it to come up in the 24-hour race. I did get an ache on the inside of my palm here. It's about there. Now, this could be because I need to get used to a GT wheel, which is understandable. But I did get an ache, and it was on both of them as well. More so on this one, but I am right-hand dominant, so I am right-handed. So I expect I grip a little bit more on this. So I was just feeling a small ache in the centre there. Nothing major. That could just be me, as I say, but I do have to point that out in terms of that. I have enjoyed using this wheel, and I carried on using it. We'll see how we go in the 24-hour race, and I'll actually put a comment down below if I do experience any more aches or whether I'm used to it now. But of course, Paul Ricard was one of the first major races I did with this wheel, so it's probably expected to be the worst at that point. I've not used it for such an extent since that in terms of longevity using in ACC. Now, another dislike that I found with this wheel, and I don't know what it's like on iRacing because I'm not playing iRacing at the moment, but ACC wise, I had to map each button individually. There was no default map there, which was a little bit frustrating, if I'm brutally honest with you. It really was frustrating. So I had to go through it and map each button and make sure to get it right. And, what do I want to map? I was expecting to load ACC. So I'm a plug-in and play guy. You know this. I know some of you like your customizability, which is fine. And I have put that as a good part of the wheel. But for me, I like things customizable, but I like a good default setup. I want to plug this wheel in. I want to go onto ACC and instantly be able to play. Not go onto ACC and spend 20 minutes mapping the buttons. Didn't like that. Wasn't a fan of that. No idea why it was the case. Now, all the buttons are mappable, which is fair dues. But let's have a default profile put into the game, please. Talk to ACC, get a default profile put in. Or even if you can apply your own, I don't know how that works in terms of software. That would be so beneficial because it's a little bit frustrating when you go onto a game and you're like, oh yeah, let's play. And then you spend 20 minutes trying to map all the buttons because you can't actually play. So yes, that is a little bit frustrating. That was the main bad part. Other than that, in terms of the wheel, I've not even used all the buttons, if I'm brutally honest with you. I've not used the second clutches. I've obviously been using the primary clutches there. And I've not even been using all the buttons. If I'm brutally honest, I've not been using all the buttons. My main buttons are the top right and left, and of course the dials in the center, as well as the gear shifts in terms of that side. Other than that, though, there is no issues with this wheel at all. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, which is why I'm using it for the 24-hour race after this review, filming it, and also, obviously, before this video comes out. very weird in terms of time. Let's forget time there. But yeah, it's why I'm using it right now. It's brilliant wheel this. It's absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend this wheel if you are just a PC user. 100%. This wheel is up there as my very best wheel I have ever used. Ever. Which is a big shout, in my opinion. Very big shout. Now, I want to talk about PlayStation compatibility, okay? Because I know a lot of you who watch this channel are well, play on the PlayStation, and a lot of you will be like, well, Tidge, the R5 could play on the PlayStation. Why can't the R16 play on the PlayStation? Very good question. So I have tried everything to get this to work. Okay, so for those that don't know, I've got this Brook Resolution 2 there that I have used for the R5, and it still works for the R5. It's great, okay? And you can see that R5 video after this one. I plugged in the wheel to that, and unfortunately, with that setup, the pedals wouldn't work. So I'm using the old pedals that I got with the R5 bundle. This wheelbase doesn't come with pedals, just to clarify that. And I am going to get onto price in a second. But like literally, in terms of that, I had to use the bottom clutches as accelerator and brake. And yeah, it's not really the immersion or fun that you want. So I was like, okay, how can I do this? Went online, couldn't really see anything where anybody had actually got it to work. Contacted Brook, who were going to help me, but then they wanted to go into details. So I was like, well, this isn't really plug in and play of what I wanted, and it does mean that it potentially could break on the next patch, the next patch, the next patch, and so on and so forth. So I then tried this lovely thing here, which is the MOZA. You can see it, the MOZA adapter, essentially. So you can plug in anything. You can actually plug in other manufacturers into this, you know, Fanatec and co. I believe. I've not tried it, I'm brutally honest with you, but that's what I've been told. So there are adapters to be able to, you know, pick and choose which wheels and pedals you can connect together and use this. What I did try was this, then connected into the Brook Resolution into the PlayStation. That went better. Okay, so we actually got the pedals to work and the wheel to work until you hit the accelerator. So I would touch the accelerator and then nothing would work apart from the X button. So you press pause, no, you can't do anything else. If you stop the car, handbrake's applied, nothing else would work. I tried everything to get it to work. Couldn't get it to work, so at that point I was like, do you know what? I can't do a review based on the PlayStation. It's solely going to be on the PC, and that is exactly what I did. So that was essentially the PC review in a nutshell. Now, in terms of price then, so this is where it gets a bit more awkward, of course, because price, it's expensive, let's be honest with you. And arguably, is it worth the price? So it's £799 just for the base. It doesn't come with pedals, okay? And I did mention that just before. It doesn't come with pedals. £799 for the base. It's a lot of money. If you're going this hard into the sim racing world, is it worth it? If you've got a lot of disposable income, then yes. And remember, that's just the wheel base. It doesn't come with a wheel either. You're just getting this base right here, which is a fantastic base. I'm not denying that, but it's still very expensive. Now the wheel, the MOZA GS V2P GT Wheel. Okay, nearly chinned myself there. So this wheel right here, okay. This wheel is £439 at the time of recording. It's a lot of money. Now, you do get a lot of wheel for that money. I will be brutally honest. I've said this is a fantastic wheel. But if you just count that as the wheel and the wheel base, that's £1,200. I'm rounding there, but it's £1,200. You don't even have pedals at that point. So to get a full setup, you're going to be talking 1,500 quid. That's a lot of money. A lot of money for a combination. So that's double the Fanatec GT DD Pro that I'm using, of course, which is, again, this is a step up from that. This is a massive step up from that. But double the price is a lot of money. So I would only recommend this personally. Now, if you've got unlimited disposable income, just go for it. I think this is a fantastic wheel and wheelbase combination. I would happily use this consistently. If I had 2 rigs, it'd be permanently on there. But look at that, straight on first time, happy days. So yeah, I would recommend that if you've got unlimited disposable income. I don't feel, and this is my honest opinion, that paying double the price of a previous DD Pro, or arguably, you know, you're paying, what, 1,300 quid, 1,200 quid over the very bog standard force feedback wheels that you can get, like the Logitech wheel, for example. I don't feel like the price increase, so it's a, call it 10 times price increase to get to this point, you get 10 times the experience. I don't think that's the case. It's diminishing returns. That's the word I was looking for. Diminishing returns. So if you've got limited money or money's not a real issue, go for it. If you want to invest in your hobby, then go for it. Okay, if you want to invest in your hobby, go for it. If you are struggling for money, I feel like you could get better value for your money by going for a cheaper wheel. Otherwise, if you want the premium experience, this is the go-to, in my opinion. It really is. I say this is the best wheel I currently own. It really is the best wheel I currently own. It's amazing. It really is amazing. That's going to be it for this review then, folks. I do hope you have enjoyed it. Very much different. I realise that. I've talked about a lot of things in terms of the wheel, the wheelbase, price, and my feedback. I'll say, best wheel I've ever owned. By a large margin, I would say as well. But it's not 10 times the experience of previous ones or double, for example. You do have diminishing returns. If you do want this wheel, though, highly recommend it. If you're looking into this wheel right now and you're going, I'm a PC user, I reckon this wheel will do me. Yeah, 100%. I love this wheel. I think it's fantastic. I really do. And you've heard my good and bad points in this video. If you have enjoyed this video, as always, do give it a like and do subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content. I do appreciate your support as always. My logo is there if you also want to subscribe as well. And there are 2 videos to check out, including the Moza R5 bundle. That's going to be it for me though, folks. A big thank you for watching as always, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.